The Puck Portfolio with Andy McNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio for Wednesday, March 19th. Just two games in the NHL today. I'm your host, Andy McNeil. Joining me, as always, DFO's Nick Martin. Nick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to get into this one. You know, I'm kind of getting a little more settled at my new place. So I've got a furniture delivery coming sometime soon. Hopefully that doesn't cut off this show. But yeah, everything's good.
Well, this one should be fairly quick relative to our usual show, which is two games on the docket tonight. I split my picks yesterday. Somehow Leon Draisaitl did not factor into the scoring in a 7-1 Oilers win over the Utah Hockey Club on Tuesday. Thomas Harley, of course, did pick up a point early in the game, so cashed that one. And the St. Louis Blues got by the Nashville Predators with ease. But the Winnipeg Jets, not too often that you see Connor Hellebuck allow 5 goals in a game, and the Jets were defeated by the Vancouver Canucks 6-2. So not a great night for Utah Hockey Club futures, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're kind of hoping for the Blues here, but good night for the Blues. They got it done for us there pretty convincingly, so at least we had that one. But yeah, that certainly wasn't the dream for us that the Jets kind of laid an egg there.
Yeah, that's for sure. But anyways, let's kick this off with the Colorado Avalanche in Toronto taking on the Maple Leafs. The Avalanche, they've got a rest advantage here. They're returning from a 2-day break, so a 1-day rest advantage against the Maple Leafs, and they have won 8 of their last 9 games. They're kicking off a 3-game Canadian road trip in Toronto on Wednesday. And this recent surge has propelled them back into the 3rd spot in the Central Division. I mean, maybe the first time they've been in there all season long, actually, given that they got off to a rough start this season. Minnesota was one of the hottest teams in the league early in the season before the injury bug kind of took them out, and they're also in action tonight. But right now, it looks like it's going to be the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars going head-to-head in round 1, which is going to be definitely one of the more intriguing first-round matchups this year in the playoffs. That is, unless Colorado finds a way to slip back into the wild card spot, which seems unlikely at this point. The Avs and the Maple Leafs have split their last 10 meetings. But Colorado just recently, actually, back on March 8th, beat up on the Maple Leafs at home, winning 7-4, and they'll look to complete the series sweep here tonight. I know you're covering this game over at the Leafs Nation, so I'll let you kind of take it away here. How do you see this one from a betting perspective?
Yeah, I think we're kind of due to see the Leafs look a little better. In my head, I think this is going to be a spot where they bring a better game, but I don't think you can argue to back them at this kind of a price with how Colorado's looking and the way they've played versus good teams recently. If you look at Toronto's last 5 or 6 games versus strong teams, they've had Vegas in there, they've had Colorado, Ottawa, Florida. They're defending horribly. And I think there's been a bit of a transitional period with Carlo and Lawton coming in here, but it has been just a nightmare defensively. One of their worst stretches probably of the last 4 years, really. So I think it's a lot to ask of them to sort that out versus the Avs here. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's the Avs are pass from a sides perspective. I think Toronto has to be better than they've shown recently, but they're just getting crushed when they play good teams right now. So, hard to say that right now this looks like the year things will be different, but who knows? Berube and all these changes weren't made to win in the regular season. But yeah, the prop that I like here is Matthews to record 4 shots. It's at -114 on Penny. I think that's a good number. He had one of his best games of the season on Monday. We're going to need to see the Leafs top stars step up in this matchup. I don't think the Avs are going to be a complete defensive powerhouse. I think there's a pretty good chance that the Leafs can get their chances here and should be a pretty high event game. And I want to ride with Matthews here. It seems like he's starting to feel a little better after kind of clearly shooting less as he was dealing with that unknown upper body injury. for a while there. So yeah, I think we're getting a pretty good price to buy on him from a shot volume perspective.
Yeah, no, for sure. The Toronto Maple Leafs trade deadline moves have not yet sparked improved play. I mean, this team was playing pretty good. They had won 7 of 8 between February 1st and March 2nd, but they dropped 5 of their last 7. They did dominate Calgary in a 6-2 win in their last outing. And they're going to close out their 4-game homestand here tonight on Wednesday. But they've lost, like you said, their last 4 against teams currently in a playoff spot. So this is going to be a tough matchup. And I think the Avalanche, their rest advantage definitely cuts into Toronto's home ice advantage. You look at underlying metrics since February 1st, the Avalanche ranks 2nd in expected goals percentage, 3rd in shot attempt percentage, 3rd in goal share at 5-on-5 per Evolving Hockey. Toronto, on the other hand, they rank 22nd in 5-on-5 expected goals, 28th in shot attempts, 11th in goal share, but pretty big skill gap here in terms of how these two teams are playing right now, their current form anyway. And while the Maple Leafs offense has been rolling, they rank 3rd in goals per 60 minutes, all situations since the start of February. The Avalanche are not far behind. They're 6th in goals per 60 minutes during that time. And you mentioned the Avs defense. Maybe tough to contend against this Toronto team with such a good offense, but they have allowed the 2nd fewest goals in the league on a per 60-minute basis over the last 6 weeks. And I think all of this makes the Avs a pretty appealing money line bet. It has moved a bit. Earlier this morning when we were talking about our bets, this one was at minus 118, but they're up to minus 125 at Pinnacle. Still a pretty good price, all things considered, I think. And that's my pick for this game. So Colorado on the money line at minus 125.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah, I like it. I feel like it's one of those ones you're overthinking to come up with angles for the Leafs. I'm like, it feels like they're due for better. I do still believe in this roster a fair bit, but I mean, obviously the Avs right now, I think, are one of the hottest teams in the league. I'm kind of changing my mind a little bit. I think I was ready to be pretty high on the Stars in that first round series. And now with the word coming out that Heiskanen might not play, the Avs looking as good as they have, I'm starting to become a lot less firm on the idea that the Stars would be a favorite in that matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a great series regardless of who comes out on top. I think there's just going to be so much star power, and obviously a little bit of that star power has shifted over to the Dallas Stars with them acquiring Mikko Rantanen. But I guess another factor that we'll have to consider come playoff time is whether or not Gabriel Landeskog will be ready to go by the time the postseason starts. It seems a little bit unlikely, given that it's been almost 3 years since he last played an NHL game. Of course, his last game or the last time he was on the ice was when the Avalanche were hoisting the Stanley Cup in 2022. But he has been practicing with the team. He is traveling with the team on this road trip, I guess, getting acclimated to the NHL lifestyle again. Listened to Frank Saravelli not too long ago, just a few days ago, actually. And he seems to think it's, more unlikely that Landeskog will actually be back this season. But that has, as he mentioned, kind of been swatted by the Colorado Avalanche. He reported that, while he is pushing himself at practice and whatnot, I guess he, has been experiencing some swelling. According to some sources, that is not the case according to the Avalanche, but I guess we won't know more until the end of the regular season. But obviously it'll be hard to say how effective he will be if he does make a return to the NHL. But I'm sure Colorado would like to see him back.
Yeah, imagine if he is playing somewhat close to the level he was before the injury. It'd be a great story, and obviously then I think the Avs would become kind of the favorite out west. So yeah, that'll be really fun to see if he does get back.
Yeah, I mean, Landeskog clearly believes that he's not done yet. I don't think he would be working as hard as he is if he thought his days were in the NHL were over. So, I guess as long as there's belief there and he's practicing, the door is still open for a return in the playoffs. But anyway, let's move on to the other game here on Wednesday: the Seattle Kraken and the Minnesota Wild. And yeah, at first glance, it might be a little bit strange to see Minnesota as a heavy favorite given how poorly they've played. But this is the second half of a back-to-back for the Seattle Kraken. They beat up on the Chicago Blackhawks 6-2 on Tuesday. They actually overcame a 2-0 deficit early in that game and scored 6 unanswered goals to win that one. I don't have the stats in front of me, but Seattle has been one of the best teams in the NHL this year when it comes to overcoming deficits and coming from behind, which is pretty surprising given how poorly they've performed this season. But yeah, they're in a tough spot here on Wednesday, the second half of a back-to-back, and they've also lost 7 of the last 10 meetings against the Wild. This is the third meeting between these two teams this season. Seattle won 5-4 in a shootout way back on October 12th. Minnesota took the rematch 4-3 on March 4th. That said, the Wild have lost 7 of the last 11 games. They're 2-3 straight up on their current 7-game homestand. And I guess, if there's one thing going in Seattle's favor here, it's that their metrics over the last 6 weeks or so have, probably been better than Minnesota in a lot of ways. I mean, since February 1st, the Wild ranked 25th in expected goals percentage, 27th in shot attempt percentage, and dead last in goal share at 5-on-5. Seattle, on the other hand, ranks 23rd in expected goals at 5-on-5, so slightly better, but they've got the 11th best shot attempt percentage and the 16th best goal share at 5-on-5. And they've also been much stronger offensively, ranking 6th in goals per 60 minutes, while Minnesota has been the league's worst offensive team. The Wild, have been, still been better on defense. But I think Seattle's expected starter, Philip Grubauer, while he has won his last 2 starts, he's really struggled this season. He's only got 7 wins in 23 games this year. The matchup has gone 6-3-1 to the over in the last 10 meetings, including the last 4 straight to this season so far. And I think this one has all the ingredients to go over the 5.5 total again on Wednesday. And you in agreement with me on that one, are you not?
Yeah, I like it, and for a lot of the same reasons you outlined. Grubauer's come back from the AHL with 2 good games, but it's just been such a horrible season. I don't think you'd be too sold on those performances. He has the 4th worst goals saved above expected per 60 rating this season. And I mean, his play earlier on in the year was a big reason the Kraken have been as bad as they have, and why now they're kind of a scrappy underdog when he's not in the net. So yeah, a lot to like there. You talked about how the Wild's defensive form has fallen off a ton. Gustafsson hasn't been as good either. Basically, if you lop off the first 3 months of the season, he's been below average. So I think there's a lot to like about a low total of 5.5 here. There's -110s out there across the board. FanDuel's even at -106 right now. So
I think we've got even money at Pinnacle right now.
Okay, yeah, nice. So yeah, it's kind of surprised to see those come down. These teams obviously don't scream high event hockey, but I think when you look at Seattle playing back-to-back with Grubauer in goal, I don't know if I like their defensive upside too much. But yeah, the Wild, they've really fallen off defensively. And yeah, I think there's a little bit to like about the Kraken offensively right now. I think they're starting to show a little better. Shane Wright had a good game last night. I think he started to look better, and he's playing with Neiman, he was their top AHL scorer, and he's got 2 goals in 4 games since coming up. And I think he looks pretty good offensively. So yeah, all in all, I think 5.5 is a little low, especially if you're getting that even money.
Yeah, right now at Pinnacle, even money on the over 5.5. So that is definitely a play for me. So Nick is on Austin Matthews over 3.5 shots on goal, -112. You said minus
Yes.
114.
Yes, -114 at Pinnacle, I think was at least what I played, but I think that was actually the best number in market as well.
And we both like the over 5.5 at even money in Seattle. That's at Pinnacle Sports as well. And then, of course, the Colorado Avalanche on the money line for me now -127 at Pinnacle. So this one has moved up almost 10 cents since this morning. But you've got a play that you like for Thursday slate that you want to get out in front of, eh?
Yeah, I do. And I'm guessing you'll be in agreement, even if you haven't dove into it yet. So I won't put words in your mouth. But the Ducks are +150 versus the Predators tomorrow. We pretty much, I couldn't have shredded the Predators much worse yesterday, I don't think. And they didn't make anything we said look wrong. This team's been overvalued all season long. And I think +150, which is early opener, I'm guessing won't hold. But I think anything past +130 is a bad number here. It's just way too long. The Ducks played really well last night in Dallas, for what it's worth. They've been in a bit of a worse stretch here, but I still think you look at these teams right now, I don't think the talent is that far off. The Ducks are getting way better goaltending. So yeah, I think there's plenty of arguments as to why they can hang around in this matchup. I think the opening price of +150 is pretty bad. So yeah, I would jump on anything close to that if you can. Hopefully some of those numbers hold up for a little while. Yeah, I think it's a good spot to just keep fading the Predators, which has been so good to us this season.
Well, you did put words in my mouth, but they were the right words, because I absolutely agree that you've got to fade this Predators team, even with the lowly Ducks at a price of +150. I think that is a great look for Thursday. But that does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. No more games to talk about Wednesday. It is a bit of a mismatch week here. We'll have a big slate to cover on tomorrow's show. Thursday, but then once again, just one game on Friday. So it's a bit of a weird week, but a busy weekend. 14 games in the NHL on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. So there'll be lots of hockey coming up. But we're out for today. We'll be back on Thursday right here on the DFO Fantasy and Betting YouTube channel at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, also live on X. And stay tuned for another episode of Future Files coming up later today on the DFO Fantasy and Betting YouTube channel. Nick and I are going to cover the Calder Trophy race and see if there are any guys maybe that can take the crown from the odds-on favorite Macklin Celebrini right now, and we think there might be. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We'll see you tomorrow.